I'm tired myself of shooting this stupid video. This might be my longest video of all times. I'm not Pierre McKinnon, but I like coffee just as much. Hey everyone, my name is Paul Kretz, and among my many other occupations which you can find in my playlist on my channel, I'm also a musician and a sound producer, and today I'm gonna be telling you about absolutely all of my musical projects. Let's go! First of all, the stylish pictures of this nice coffee cup you can find on my Instagram, on my personal account, or the account for my photo works. So just follow, subscribe, and see you there. Initially, I wanted to do this video as short as possible, because I really have a lot of different musical projects, and it'll take a long time to tell about all of them. Especially that I'm going to shoot a separate video for each and every of my projects in details. But then I thought that in case I'm just getting too lazy or there are any other circumstances that stop me from doing a separate video for every project, I decided to do this video just as long as it possibly can, so let it go. And if I'm not gonna shoot a video for every project, then there at least be this video for brief description of every of my project. As well, as you can see, I got a long hair. For about 10 years ago I got a much longer hair, which you can see here on the screen, on this picture. But I'm thinking of cutting it off soon. And the genres and music styles that I'm into, which are rock and metal mostly, just opposes the appropriate hairstyle, which is long hair, you know, for headbanging and so on. And if I'm gonna cut it off, I want just the videos about my projects be appropriate to the style. So until I have a long hair, I'm just gonna shoot this video. So, and as well, please see on the screen, I'll show you different pictures of me with different hairstyles over the time, and please leave a comment below which hairstyle you think suits best for me, so that I can probably choose it in future again. So let this video be as long as it can, and if you get tired of me talking to you as different bullshit, just look in the comments below. I put the timestamps for each and every of my projects. You just can find the title, the name of the band or project, and the time and the genre that it performs in. So you can click and jump right into this genre of this project, not to waste any time. Let's begin with me getting into music. I actually had different kinds of music at my home since my very childhood. It was just the Soviet singers. It was very simple music, but it was really nice actually. And I like to listen to my headphones, to big Soviet headphones when I was a child. And then I really got into music at 10 years of age. That's a strange story which I'm telling in details and in my other video, but actually it's in Russian. So I'll tell you it short just right now in English. At 10 years of age, I didn't want to go to school. I really hated school. Till this day I think that school is a bitch. So I was telling my mom that I got a stomachache, that my stomach aches, and I was doing it just not to go to the school, and I was doing it on a daily basis. And after about 10 days straight, my mom said, "Hey, what's wrong with your stomach? Let's go to the doctors and check it." And we went there and the doctor checked it, and they put me to the hospital for 2 weeks for full examination. And that was strange, and I was surprised because that was not what I wanted actually, as you can see. I got diagnosed with a gastritis, which is a simple shit for the whole life, and it doesn't bother me at all, so it's a common thing. But what's interesting, I was in the one chamber with that guy that was just a couple of years older than me, and he had a Walkman, and I had a Walkman player as well, and I was listening to a Russian band which was playing swing and jazz and rock and roll and so on. It's a very nice band, by the way, it's called Bravo. But that guy had a very heavy music, and I asked him just to try it out, and he put me on his headphones, and there was a guy screaming his lungs out. I was astonished. That was something I wasn't expecting, and that was actually a Nirvana It was the album In Utero, and it was the song The Sandless Apprentice, probably the heaviest song of all Nirvana songs. And Kurt Cobain was screaming his lungs out, as well as I've already said. This was very strange to me, this kind of music, this kind of screaming. I did not realize why this guy is screaming so loud. What's wrong? And then when I got out of the hospital, I tried and find some tape cassettes. It was the mid-1990s. There were CDs at my time were just starting out. There were mostly tape decks and tape cassettes. So I found some albums and I was listening to them. I got really fond of it. And of course I was getting involved into playing guitar. I wanted to learn to play guitar, and I've got some guitars from my relatives. They were just pieces, they were broken, a couple of guitars. I had to repair it, and I started learning. I started playing guitars, so it was just funny and nice. It was at 10 years of age. And then at about 12 years of age, I got acquainted with a guy who was wishing to play the drums, and we had a two-piece band. I was playing guitar and singing, and he was drumming with the Pioneer drumsticks, and he was drumming sofas and couches and pillows and whatever we can find, even boxes from a Pringles chips. So it was funny, but we pretended that we had a real band. We were writing real decent songs. We had some recordings as well. And later, at the age of 13, we got involved into our first real band. This guy and me and a couple of other guys, they were bassist and a guitarist, and I was guitarist and he was drummer. So that combined was a real rock band. And we all were fond of Nirvana and grunge music, and that's what we wanted to play. And that's what became the SOLARIS band, which I'm gonna be telling you just later among my many other projects. And since the very beginning, since I just started playing guitar, I was also interested in recording. As I said, there were only tape decks and tape cassettes, and I started recording this. Initially I got only one deck, and then later I had a 2 tape deck machine. So I started overdubbing and making real recordings. It was very simple, because there was only one channel. And you could record one channel, then play it back and record it overdub over this one channel and make multiple overdubs. So I made about 6-7 overdubs, and I got these recordings with different guitar parts and drumming the pillows and everything I could find in my room. So, but they were quite decent recordings. I can still listen to them, and of course there was no EQ, no compression, no sound effects, just like I'm having here in my studio today. But the mixing was quite well, so at least I was balancing levels quite properly. And that was the starting point of my recording career. And since the age of 14 probably, I got a pretty decent PC computer, and I started recording right into it with the software. It was a simple software, it was a simple hardware, just basic in and outputs from a sound blaster sound card. So this was bullshit, but for a 14 years old guy it was perfect. And I started writing tons and tons and tons of songs, full songs with full arrangements, with guitars, drums, and even synthesizers. I played and composed MIDI parts, and I recorded them into MIDI files in the software. So I started recording very many songs, and the whole albums, some of which I'm doing and redoing and mixing and remastering and recording and re-recording till this day. Can you believe it or not? I wrote so many songs at that time that I'm still doing them right now for my projects, because I think they're really good songs. And of course I was not writing them at 14 years. I mean the songs which I was writing from 14 to probably 20 or 21 years. This whole lot of material, I'm still doing it right now. As the time passed by, I was playing in different bands, in different genres. I was touring. I'll tell you briefly about all my projects and all my bands just later, or look at the timestamps just below in the description section. But all this time I was into recording, and I was studying at the Moscow Social University, and I graduated from a Faculty of Foreign Languages in 2008, and I had a day job, office day job, which I of course hated. I hated it for 4 years. for the 2 last years of my university study and 2 years after the graduation. So by 2010 I earned enough money to build this little nice studio that I'm shooting in right now, and I quit my day job to go straight into sound recording, sound producing, sound engineering, making audio records for life. As you can see, my studio is really nice and small, so just take a look at this. It's only one room, but it's absolutely fully equipped. As you see, I got a drum set, I got a pair of satellite speakers, I got amplifiers, guitar amplifiers, bass amplifier, I got a whole lot of cables, I got a mixing deck, of course I got a multi-channel sound interface, I got tons and tons of microphones and pedals and sound effects, and I got a MIDI keyboard and triggers for drums and absolutely all the stuff that you need for a decent recording at a sound recording studio. And of course I made a lot of recordings here of my projects and my clients, some of which were bands, some of which were separate authors who played music, who wrote songs or lyrics, and you can even find a couple of videos in my dedicated playlist of me recording a 4-piece full band live here in this room, and also a separate video on recording live drums right here, so check them out. Well, and that was just the story of me getting into music and having this nice studio, and since then I've been occupied in different areas. I also am occupied in fitness. I'm a bodybuilding trainer, a fitness trainer, and kinesiotherapist. If you know what this is, you can actually find it in my playlist. But music is one of my biggest focuses still. So let's just get right into my musical projects. As I said, there are a lot of them, so I'll have just a few tips on my phone, so just please don't pay much attention to me looking on the screen. And to this day, actually, I do not have my personal website, which is pity and which is shame. So please write in comments below which website or service you think is the best for musicians to have separate probably pages or parts of the site for different projects of the same musician, so that it could have probably pictures and tracks and information. I see some bloggers advertise Squarespace or services like that, so please let me know in comment below if you know any of these. And as I do not have my personal website, all of my projects are spread over different sources, but the list of all my projects is on vk.com. It's a Russian social network. It's just kind of a Facebook for Russian speakers, and actually now it's international. It has an English interface, so you can register there, you can have your own page there, and I've got my society there, just a page for my society, for my group, and I have there the list of all my projects, and of course this list, the link to this list in the description below, so you can find it. But it's a Russian site, and if you don't want to register there, you can find the links to all my projects right at the same time in the description below. I think the important thing that all of my projects I put online for free, for absolutely free. So many of my projects you can find on the Bandcamp website, which promotes for free, but you can also buy my albums there for the price of your choice, and so supporting me, donating some just a few bucks here and there. And for the last year I also use a Distrokid service which promotes my albums for a very wide range of musical shops such as Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, and many others, and links to all these shops are below. You can stream them for free or for a price, I don't know which are the conditions for these sites, and you can download them for free from Bandcamp or other sources, so you can buy them. That is just your choice. I put all my projects out for free, and if you can, just support it and it will make me do much more. And if you're interested in Distrokid service and you want to put your music online and spread it over as much shops as you can, use the link down below. It will make you a 7% discount for your registration for the first year, and this is a very nice service because you pay once and you can upload as much music as you can this is per project, but if it is my case where I have many projects, there are different solutions for different number of projects, but they all cost not much. And the very important thing is that you collect all the income to yourself. Absolutely, this service has nothing. You just pay once, and all the buyers, they pay, so to say, directly to you. You collect all the income. And so finally, let's go to the list of my musical projects, and I'll tell you briefly about all of them. So I have a list on my screen, and first which I can see here is the Ruсь nickname. Ruсь means lynx or a bobcat in Russian, which is my nickname for years, and I've been using it in social networks, and I use it spelled in English as a PB1CB, which reads Ruсь in Russian. And under this nickname, there are a lot of songs, but they are all in different genres, but they're not heavy, not hard. They're mostly rock and romantic rock, radio rock, so they're quite light. There's something of a blues, of course, there. So you can find them on the vk.com on my page in the audio recording section. There are a lot of the songs, and I also use this nickname in the projects with my clients, where I am not the main author. So these are the projects of singers or authors who wrote music and lyrics, and I help them with arrangements, or I participated as a vocalist, back vocalist, guitarist, or any instrument session player. So my name means big in the project, but it's not the main. There I use this nickname. So generally PB1CB is used for different genres of light rock. The next on the list is my biggest non-personal project. It's the metal band called Mortem. It's the brutal death, old school brutal death metal band. It's actually the legendary Russian death metal band, which was formed back in 1989, when myself was just 3 years of age. Can you believe it or not? And this band put out their first album in 1993, when I was attending the second grade of school. And I joined the band in 2004 when I learned that they were looking for a guitarist. And I was a damn good guitarist at that time. I was playing really fast and really precise, and my playing was really clean. And I really liked death metal by that time. So I joined the band, and I was in the band for about 3 years, till 2007. And it's the biggest band because I recorded one, but absolutely full album. The real studio album. We were in studio recording, just a real serious band. And this band was big. It was touring and concerting with a lot of really well-known bands. And we were touring and playing shows with the bands like Obituary, Behemoth, Disania, Dismember, and even Cannibal Corpse. By the way, Mortem is known in Russia as the Russian Cannibal Corpse, because our style is really close to the legendary American band, but it has absolutely personal touches to that. But it's a very decent death metal, and I played it for 3 years. And unfortunately, the last show was opening up for a Cannibal Corpse. I was not participating in it because I already quit the band just a month before Cannibal Corpse. But any other tours and shows and album recording I was in. And we toured a lot. We toured all over the Russia. So, and you know, Russia is a big country, and we've been to many cities. And we also been touring to over Finland and Ukraine and Belarus and Moldova. And the band split up just before the European tour with Cannibal Corpse. Can you believe this? We were to tour with Cannibal Corpse for 2 weeks, opening every of their shows. That was a real bitch to cancel that tour. Just, I'll show you on the screen the tour dates that were already on the website of Cannibal Corpse, but there were real major problems with some of our members. So that's a death metal, the legendary Russian death metal band with which I was playing. Actually, the video on this band and this project is now on one of the YouTube channels which focuses on metal music. I'll put a link on the YouTube card here and in the description below. The guy from this channel took an interview of me about this band, so you can find it. Actually, it's in Russian, but if you're really interested in it, leave a comment below and probably I'll translate it to you in English. The next link on the list is just a simple link to my studio, to this little nice beautiful studio. It's a public society for my studio, so there are some pictures of my studio, there's some information working in my studio, and there are tracks of my clients which I recorded as a producer, as a sound producer, sound engineer, and so on. So there are mostly the records of my clients there. The next band is one of my biggest bands, and it's actually the closest band to my heart, I would say, because it's my first band, which I was telling you earlier, is the SOLARIS band. In Russian it sounds like SOLARIS. This is my first ever real rock group. There were 4 of us, then later we got rid of the drummer, that guy that was using pillows to drum, but that was not the reason. And I was playing guitar initially for 2 years, then I sat and the drum kit. Later, for 7 or 8 years, I was playing drums. The band was playing alternative rock. We were all trying to play grunge, but actually for the first 5 or 6 years it was just alternative rock and punk rock and some mixture of different genres. But finally, by the end of this band, by the end actually of this lineup, because the band actually exists right now, but there is only one guy left, not the ones that were forming the band. But by the end it was a real grunge, and I'm really proud of what we were doing for the last years, for about 2006 through 2008 when we split up. And there is of course a society and a public and a group for this band. There are recordings, there are old recordings. There is a society for the modern lineup, so that guy that we were playing in and has different members right now, he has his own society. And I created the society for all songs that we were playing from 1999 to 2008. So that's the grunge band. Actually, it's a very good band, and I'm really proud of it. And then we actually get into my own personal music projects. As I've already told you, I play guitar, but also I write lyrics, I sing, I play drums, I can play some keyboard. For recording at least. All the time I've been writing music all by myself. All instruments, all arrangements, I performed on all instruments, I recorded all of them, and I mixed and mastered all by myself. So let's get into my own personal projects. I'll start with the band Inhuman. It plays death metal. It plays death metal of a, let's say, CHUCK SCHULDINER style, the death band. You may heard about that, and as people quoted, it's the closest to CHUCK SCHULDINER that they ever heard. So that's just the death metal of old school, like CHUCK SCHULDINER wrote. I really liked the band Death, and I was trying to write songs like this, and I wrote all the guitars and drums and all the parts and recorded them in my studio. So that's the project called Inhuman, and of course the name is dedicated to the third or fourth album of the band, which is called Inhuman. And it's a cool band. It was formed in 2001, 2002, and it lasted until 2005 when I let them all go because they were actually bad musicians and I had to change them, but it never happened, and it remains as a studio project. Well, this band has 3 albums as of right now, and the second of the albums is now available at Bandcamp for free download, or you can of course buy it for the price of your choice, and it is present on all of these sites like Amazon, Google Play and iTunes, over the Distrokid service, so you can find it there. Why is the second album present? Because the first album was also recorded, but it was just a poor quality. The second album is in quite decent quality, at least it's listenable, and the first is not. And I'm working at one project at this time, this particular moment, and after this project I'm going to make a remix or a remaster, maybe re-record some parts and put out the actual first album of Inhuman project. And the third album has been written, composed in 2006, 2007. Can you believe it? Just 10 years ago. And it is just like on my studio shelf for 10 years. It's a very cool album with brilliant parts. I would say it's the best music that I ever wrote in my entire life, and it's got very nice lyrics. But I put it away for right now just to record it appropriately. I want it to sound really great. So there are two albums. One is put out, one is to be put out in the next year or two, and the one is postponed for who knows how long. Still, Inhuman is a nice band, and if you like death metal, especially old school death metal, absolutely check it out. The next project is unsurprisingly called Inhuman. Inhuman is a classical death metal which is really close to the same Cannibal Corpse or Mortem style which I described earlier. But this is my absolutely personal project. It's a death metal. There's one album on all the sources that I mentioned. You can check it out. It's a really cool, quite simple but very nice brutal death metal of old school. So check it out. Then I have a Demonium project, which is, it's kind of not a project. It was actually a band of 3 pieces with the guys from different bands which I was playing alongside from time to time. And we got 2 shows played. I'll show you some pictures of it, or maybe probably a video here. But I really liked black metal just as much as death metal, so we tried to create some songs in black metal genre. So the Demonium is a black metal genre style project, and it is present on the Bandcamp only and vk.com as well. Just 2 sources for this. There are just 4 songs of it, but I think they're nice songs for black metal. They're quite nice, quite good, I would say. But there are about 2 to 4 songs more. So if you like good quality black metal, check it out as well. The next project called Ruin. It's the gothic or doom death metal genre project. Of course, written everything by myself. It's mostly tragic music. It's dramatic. It has a lot of keyboards. It's very dark and sometimes ugly and sometimes very beautiful. So it's really gothic doom death metal genre. It has 1 album. It's all over my sources that I mentioned, and of course everything was written by myself, and it's a pretty nice album. And the same guy for the metal channel has an interview with me about this project, but in the interview is in Russian, unfortunately, but still you can find a link below in the description. So the Ruin project of mine is the gothic and doom metal. The next on the list is Porn. Let's not be confused with the name. It actually stands for Progressively Organized Respectable Nation. It's a nice abbreviation, but actually it comes from Korn band. It looks sounds similar. It appeared about in 2007, I think 2006, 2007, where I started being fond of not only death metal and black metal and all kinds of metal, but also in angry metal and in groove metal and alternative metal. So I started writing songs in that genre, and it went up and up and up, and then I formed a band, a full 5-piece band with 2 guitarists, me on vocal, drummer and bass player of course, and a fixed guy, kind of like a DJ. But still, while we were having a full band, I was still writing all the material by myself. Can you believe it? All the instruments and all the lyrics I was writing, and I was just showing it to musicians and they were just playing it. So this band, this project to this moment has 3 albums, just as the Human project, but there are 2 already put out, the first one and the second one. They are on all of my sources. You can find all the links in the description below. This is just a mixture of different genres. It has, as I said, alternative metal and groove metal and kind of like rap metal with rap lyrics, fast spoken lyrics. But it's really groovy. It's heavy, it's groovy, it's got very nice FX. It has really groovy drums. And the 2 albums actually differ. The first one is kind of like a partying band album, we would say. So it's funny, it's brutal, and it's angry. And the second one is just more philosophic. It's really heavy, it's groovy, but it's more philosophic, and it has lyrics. The second album has lyrics fully in Russian, while the first album has just about a half of the lyrics in English and half in Russian. So there are 2 albums put out, check them out. And there is the 3rd album which has already been written and composed. There are all instruments present and the lyrics are in place, but it's not recorded. Well, I'm lying to you. Actually, it's partially recorded. The drums are done, the bass is done, and mostly the guitars are done. And so what's left is the vocal, the special effects and keyboards, some solos, some guitar solos, and of course the main part is mixing and mastering. So the 3rd album is up to come. And let's go to my final project of my own, my personal project, which is called Ruсь. It's the old Russian name for Russia itself, actually. It's called Россия or Ruсь. And the Ruсь project just grew up from the material which I was writing for the Bastion band. It's the band that I was playing in from 2003 to 2006 probably. That was a pagan band. This was a kind of folk metal mixed with heavy metal and sometimes progressive metal. So it was nice funny music about the Russian or Slavic gods and religion, ancient religions, and you know, the pagan stuff, which we were all fond of at that time. We were young. It was a nice band, and as the time passed, I started to write more and more lyrics and songs for the band. And finally I became the main writer for the band. And I wrote a lot of songs, and many of them were not recorded or even not played live. And so later I realized I got enough material for an album, and I actually put it together to an album. I found the old recordings from 2003-2004. They were shitty recordings, but I managed to restore them, re-record some of the parts, and of course remix all of them. And I made new drums using the contemporary samples and rumblers, so there are great drums on there. And I put out an album, and it's quite successful. There are a lot of downloads, and some people also donate, as you can know. You can buy my albums on Bandcamp for the price of your choice, or at iTunes or Amazon or Spotify. You can buy them, or you can stream them and make donations and let me do more of this musical project by this way. So this existing album mostly is composed of the songs that I wrote by myself, lyrics and instruments, but sometimes other musicians participated in the recording at that old times, and all they are listed in the notes in the album. And actually I'm preparing the second album, not second but another album on this project. I found even more and even older material on my studio shelf, so it's even shittier songs and shittier material, but I'm trying to put it together because the material itself, the melodies, the lyrics, they're quite fine, and the genre is very nice. Heavy pagan metal, something like that. And I'm going to put it together and put it out in another album in the nearest future. It's at this moment, this is my closest projects that I'm gonna be finishing. So these were my personal projects, and there's one more project which is quite nice, and it is called The Age of Hopes, or Край надежд in English. It's the band kind of like the metalcore or the chant band that I was playing in, and I was playing drums there. There's a full show, video of a show of us playing on my channel. Just see the YouTube card right here, where I'm playing drums. You can see me, and we're playing this metalcore. The band was not very serious actually. It was a good band. We were having decent musicians, and I was playing drums well. It was not a very serious project actually, but we had about 5 or 6 or 7 songs written. There were quite nice songs. You can find the recordings on vk.com, and I'm hoping to put it out on a Bandcamp as well. I created a page for this project, so check this out, the metalcore project where I play drums. And just to wrap it up, I also have a public society for the open air festival called PROFEST, which I was holding for 4 consecutive years from 2007 to 2010. At that time, there were absolutely no rock shows in my town. So I was the only guy who was organizing the rock and metal concerts or shows in my town. and these were free of charge open air festivals that we were holding in just right in the forest, using generators for power. And I was grabbing all of this my equipment from my studio. Actually, I was grabbing it all and bringing it to the forest and inviting different bands. So it was a nice festival which I was holding for 4 years, and I invited a lot of bands from Moscow and from different nearby regions. But finally I got tired of it, and there were other shows appearing in my town. So I'm gonna probably make a separate video about this open air festival, because there are a lot of media materials, there are a lot of videos and a lot of photos from these festivals. So let's wrap up with my projects. There is also a very interesting project called Mirrors, which consists of 2 musicians, myself and a guy, my former schoolmate, who composes a lot of music combining, can you imagine, the genres of Iron Maiden and Cradle filth, most of all. So we call this genre the Cradle of Maiden. And it's a really nice music, and lately he started to involve some Latin and African rhythms in there, so it's kind of strange, but it's mostly metal. And we have the Bandcamp page for that. There is a demo album of 5 songs, and there are 3 or 4 other songs. It's really nice music, and it's quality music. I played all the instruments there, absolutely all the instruments, and where there is a vocal, it's my vocal as well. But the whole parts, the whole arrangements, most of the arrangements were written by that guy. I was just playing as a session instrument, and I was mixing and mastering. So check out this very interesting project. And the last project as well, not my personal, but it's just with the previous Mirrors project. This project is called Kredo, and we had different names for that. We had a band for the project, a real band, which we were calling Melancholica. Just like Melancholy and Metallic, you know, Melancholica, it's a nice name. There was a kind of like alternative rock, just with a touch of metal. There is that one guy who writes songs on the acoustic guitar with lyrics, so very simple songs with 4 chords, you know. And he comes to me, and I'm making all the arrangements. I create the drum parts and guitar parts, and we're recording the songs. And we already have 2 albums put out. One is fully acoustic, and it's not on the web, but it probably will. And one is the full electric, like a full band album, which is present on Bandcamp. You can check it out. It's a nice rock, not very heavy, but it's decent melodic rock. It's quite romantic about love, so it's a nice project as well. You can check this out. That's the music that you can put in your car if you're going somewhere far from home. It's nice music to listen to. And that's probably wraps it up for my projects, my personal, and the projects which I participated most. So thanks for watching this long and stupid video, but I hope you watch it up to the end. I'll try to make the separate video about every of my personal projects, and if you're interested in any of this project and you have any questions, please put it in the comment section below. Ask anything you want. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.